kí gbogbo ilé aláyọ̀ yìí o láti iléeṣẹ́ Sanfatis FM mi ọmọ yín àbúrò yín ọ̀rẹ́ yín Olùkúyájí Àpínyàrà ló ní nǹkan tí mo wá fẹ́ bá yín sọ ní ìrọ̀lẹ́ yìí. Mo fẹ́ kí ẹ wo fídíò yìí kí ẹ lè rí dájú nǹkan tí a ti ń sọ látijọ́ yìí nípa àwọn US government, nípa Donald Trump, nípa nǹkan tí wọ́n ti ń ṣe tipẹ́tipẹ́ tí wọ́n dẹ̀ mọ̀ ọ́ ṣe. Òun náà lẹ máa rí tí wọ́n ṣe lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta yìí fún Venezuela. Ẹ gbọ́ nǹkan tí ọmọkùnrin yìí sọ níbẹ̀rẹ̀ fídíò tá a máa play fún yín. Ẹ gbọ́ nǹkan tó sọ. Ẹ rí i pé kò yàtọ̀ sí nǹkan tá a ti ń sọ látijọ́ yìí. Nǹkan tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀ àti nítorí dọ́là tí àwọn ìlú kan ò fẹ́ ná mọ́, òun ni wọ́n ṣe ń ṣe gbogbo nǹkan tí wọ́n ń ṣe yìí, tí wọ́n ń sọ wípé wọ́n lọ sígbà wọ́n lọ sáwo, wọ́n lọ kọ̀yà, irọ́ burúkú ni. Gbogbo ìyà tí wọ́n ń kọ̀ sápò ara wọn ni. Ẹ máa gbọ́ nǹkan tí arákùnrin yìí máa sọ. Ó yá.
Serves American interests and who doesn't. Hernandez was useful, so he got a pardon. Maduro was an obstacle, so he got airstrikes. The pattern is clear, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. So where does this lead Venezuela? Trump says the U.S. will run the country until a transition can take place. But he hasn't said who will lead that transition. He hasn't said how long the U.S. will stay. He hasn't said what success looks like. He mentioned Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. He said Rubio spoke with her. He said she would be sworn in and work with the U.S. on a transition. But Rodriguez appeared on Venezuelan state television demanding Maduro's immediate release. She called the strikes a criminal act. She declared herself the interim president and claimed continuity of government. So she's not cooperating, at least not publicly. Then there's the opposition. Maria Corina Machado, the Nobel Peace Prize winning opposition leader, posted that the hour of freedom has arrived. She called on Edmundo Gonzalez, the opposition figure widely regarded as the legitimate winner of the 2024 election, to assume the presidency. Gonzalez is currently in exile in Spain. So you have competing claims. Rodriguez says she's in charge. Machado says Gonzalez should be in charge. The U.S. says it will run things until a transition happens. And the military? No unified statement. Some units loyal to the old regime, others waiting to see which way the wind blows. This is a power vacuum, and power vacuums don't stay empty. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. We've seen this before: Iraq, Libya, Afghanistan. In each case, the initial military operation succeeded. The target was removed. Celebrations in the streets, declarations of liberation, and then chaos. In Iraq, the removal of Saddam Hussein led to a sectarian civil war that killed hundreds of thousands and created ISIS. In Libya, the removal of Gaddafi led to a failed state, open slave markets, and a refugee crisis that destabilized Europe. In Afghanistan, the removal of the Taliban led to 20 years of war, trillions of dollars spent, and the Taliban back in power anyway. The pattern is consistent. It's easy to remove a government. It's extraordinarily difficult to build a stable one. And the Trump administration has no plan. Trump says the U.S. will run Venezuela, but he hasn't said how. He says oil companies will invest billions, but he hasn't secured commitments. He says there will be a transition, but he hasn't identified who will lead it. This is regime change on vibes, and vibes don't govern countries. Venezuela is not a blank slate. It's a country of 30 million people with deep political divisions, a collapsed economy, broken institutions, and competing power centers. The opposition is fragmented. The military is uncertain. The general population is exhausted and skeptical. Rebuilding will take years. It will take massive investment. It will require political legitimacy that a US-backed government may not have. And if it goes wrong, if Venezuela descends into civil conflict, if the humanitarian crisis explodes, if the oil doesn't flow, then what? The administration hasn't answered that question because they're not thinking that far ahead. They're thinking about the press conference, the photo op, the immediate political win, not the decade of consequences. So let's be clear about what this operation was. This wasn't about democracy. If it were, the US wouldn't have pardoned Hernandez 2 weeks ago. This wasn't about drugs. If it were, the focus would be on demand reduction, not regime change. This wasn't even really about Nicolas Maduro. He's been in power for over a decade. If removing him were the priority, it would have happened years ago. This was about oil. This was about China. This was about a financial system that's losing its grip and resorting to force to maintain control. The United States needed Venezuela's oil back in the dollar system. It needed to prevent China from securing an independent energy supply. It needed to send a message to every other resource-rich nation. You will sell to us. You will price in dollars, or we will come for you. That's the calculation. Brutal, cynical, effective in the short term. But in the long term, this accelerates exactly what it was meant to prevent. Because every country in the global south is watching. And they're not seeing strength, they're seeing desperation. They're seeing a hegemon out of line. Brazil is watching. Indonesia is watching. Nigeria is watching. And they're all asking the same question. If we refuse to sell our resources in dollars, are we next?
Ṣé ẹ ti gbọ́ fídíò yẹn? Ṣé ẹ ti gbọ́ nísìnyí? Ọ̀hún kì í ṣáà ń ṣe pé bóyá lẹ́nu àwa tí à ń sọ tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ lẹ ti gbọ́ báyìí. Ṣé ẹ ti gbọ́? Àṣírí wọn ń túbọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀ nìyẹn. Tó bá tún yá, ẹ tún máa bá wa ká lọ. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ gbọ́. Bí ẹ ṣe wá ń gbọ́ fídíò yẹn tẹ́ ẹ ti gbọ́ yìí, ẹ bá wa share ẹ̀. Ẹ bá wa share fídíò yìí, ẹ jẹ́ kó débi tó máa dé. Ẹ bá wa pè sí gbogbo gúrùpù tẹ́ bá wà kí ẹ lè mọ̀ wí kí wọ́n lè mọ̀ wípé nǹkan tá à ń sọ òótọ́ ni. Àṣírí wọn túbọ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀ ó dẹ̀ máa tún tán pátápátá. Ẹ máa bá wa ká lọ. Ẹ ṣé.